What's going on, everyone? Good morning. This is Jonathan Mathis. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing this morning? I'm doing great. Got my morning coffee. Sitting here chatting with you, sports fans, and for those who will tune in, and for those who are still making their way in, um, I'm delighted to be with you guys this morning. I want to thank you guys, for watching, for tuning in. Without you guys, none of this is possible. So it's great to be hanging out with you sports fans this morning, talking some NBA basketball. You know, these NBA playoffs, the Eastern Conference Finals particularly, hasn't been what I anticipated. I expected these matchups to be much closer than what they've been. I mean, we've seen blowouts in the first two games. Yes, game three was a little bit more competitive because the Celtics were able to make it interesting in the second half. They were able, to find a rhythm and you know, they clawed their way back into the game. Unfortunately, it still wasn't enough to get the win. The Miami Heat, you know, uh dominated from the start. They came out on fire. They was pushing the ball up and down the floor. They played the game with intensity, and they were able to push the tempo, and that was the difference early in the game. Bam Alabayu, he dominated. They talked before the game how big he needed to be, and he was huge. He came up huge for the Miami Heat when they needed him to. um he's a great center. Um, a a big that doesn't get talked about a lot, of course, because you got Joel Embiid, and you got other guys in this league doing their thing, so more attention is focused on them, and so the spotlight doesn't really fall around Bam Alabayu like it does Joel Embiid or Giannis. But he was fantastic last night for his team. Um, he is, I believe, the heart and soul of the Miami Heat. We saw that yesterday, and we know how deep of a team that the Miami Heat are. The Miami Heat, they're deep, they're loaded. They they have a lot of players on that roster that can score. And what makes it more interesting too, guys, is the fact that they have undrafted names on that team that has flourished. Um, they've been remarkable for the Miami Heat, and we've seen that throughout these playoffs. But the star that sh- shone the most was, of course, Bam Alabayu. You know, um, but at first, man, the game was putting me to sleep. I was literally falling asleep because there was no action. Um, you know, the Celtics were down by as many as 26 on their home floor. They couldn't really generate much offense. They wasn't defending very well. Jason Tatum couldn't get his shots to fall. He couldn't buy a basket. Was eventually able to turn it on. The Celtics went into halftime down 15 points. Um, the great thing for them, for the Celtics, is that they're knocking down more of their free throws. That's something they kind of struggled with, being able to knock down their free throws. That was made obvious um, throughout these playoffs. But Marcus Smart for the Celtics, he's a vital piece to their puzzle. Without him, you have no chance of winning this series because his backcourt presence means everything for the Boston Celtics. You need this guy on the floor. You need your healthy stars to showcase their brilliance when it matters. And Marcus Smart has done that. Marcus Smart is instrumental to this Celtics run. His backcourt presence means everything. He went down with a right ankle injury. You know, People in the building were holding their collective breaths as expected, right? You don't know, his status. There's so much uncertainty around whether or not he will return to the floor. You just don't know. And it didn't look good when he went down. It just didn't look good. It didn't look like Marcus Smart would return to the game. It was a dramatic return to the floor. And, there was so much unpredictability that lied between. I mean, his return wasn't as dramatic as Paul Pierce's back in the day when they played the Lakers in the NBA Finals and this dude left the court on a wheelchair and then moments later returns to the game and has the performance of his life. Marcus Smart returned to the game, knocked down 3, and he showed his competitive fire. I mean, it just illustrates the character, this guy's competitive nature and who he is, and I mean, we've seen that with this Celtics team. We've seen that throughout these playoffs. This might be the most complete team in the East from what we can see. When all of their players are playing consistently, when everyone knows their role, and when everyone is doing everything that needs to be done, and when good things are happening for the Boston Celtics. But in game 3, again, Bam Adebayo, a matchup nightmare. And that's one thing this Miami Heat team can do really well because of their depth and because of their size. They can exploit mismatches, make it tough for the opposing team, make it difficult. And Bam Adebayo at his best can dominate all areas of a basketball game. And we saw that yesterday. Because his first 2 games, they were duds. He didn't play well, but he bounced back, made the adjustments. Had that mentality, and the Heat, it showed. It showed because the Heat outscored Boston by a game best 17 points with Adebayo on the floor. Huge difference. What can be fairly described as the most impressive performance. Bam Adebayo showcased his athleticism, scoring 31 points on 22 shots. He collected 10 rebounds, 6 assists, had 4 steals and 1 turnover. He was great. He dominated in every facet of the game. You couldn't ask for a better performance from him. Was absolutely flawless. Was great. But I hope that this series goes to a game 7. I hope this series goes back and forth. But I want to see more competitive basketball. I don't want to see games that's going to put me to sleep. It's like a movie, kind of. You want to see a movie with suspense, with action, packed scenes. You want to see movies that makes you go ooh and ah. You don't want to be sitting on your recliner with a soda pop in your hand and popcorn in the other, and you're laying back and you're falling asleep, and slob is coming all out of your mouth, and the popcorn is spilling all over the floor, and the soda drops out of your hand because you're falling asleep. You know, I want to see a thrilling finish. I want to see these games come down to buzzer beaters. That's what I'm waiting to see. I want to see great entertainment in this series, as I expected from both of these teams. To me, this series hasn't really lived up to its expectations. It's been a strange, weird series. Either Miami is blowing out the Celtics, or it's vice versa. The Celtics are blowing out Miami. Now, the series might have taken a turn for the worse for the Miami Heat. Why? Well, Jimmy Butler. This is where it gets interesting. But like I said, Bam Adebayo, he filled a void left by the injured All-Star Jimmy Butler and led Miami to their 109-103 victory. You know, Jimmy was out in the second half. But when you got other guys that can stabilize your team, you got guys that can step up and be tremendous. One guy's loss doesn't matter as it would probably on another team. I mean, we didn't hear much about Kyle Lowry, but Kyle Lowry means a lot to this offense too and this team. His presence was felt last night as well, but we didn't hear much about him. It's amazing to me that a lot of people didn't even rush his comeback. They didn't even want to know when he was coming back. It wasn't a big deal. A lot of people didn't talk about it because this Heat team has an insane collection of top shelf talent. They evaluate their players really well. They scout really well. They make the pieces fit. You have an architect in Pat Riley who knows how to assemble championship rosters. And this team is definitely built to win it all. This team definitely has enough players. What's up, Dante? What's up, Coach Dante? Thanks for joining me, man. This team has enough players to make it happen. But that's no knock against the Boston Celtics because the Boston Celtics are good in their own right too. This is a team that looked like a dumpster fire in mid-January, December. This was a team that was mediocre. They were playing terrible basketball. They weren't playing a collective brand of basketball. They weren't sharing the basketball. There was a lot of chatter about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown not coexisting. There was even talks about possibly trading, moving Jaylen Brown. They probably would have regretted it because look how Jaylen Brown has been a big part of their success late down the stretch and into the playoffs. Coach Dante chimes in and says, I always said the Miami Heat is the best well-rounded team in the NBA. It's almost like they play better without Kyle Lowry because Pat Riley always scouted talent really, really well. And yes, he does. And that makes you sick to your stomach knowing that he was once before part of the Lakers organization. He was a head coach for the Lakers back in the Showtime era in the 80s. And you sit here and you see what he's doing over in South Beach, as a Laker fan, and you're like, damn, man, I wish he was part of the front office so he can, turn things around for your franchise. Because that is absolutely what he's done in Miami. And that's why Miami has been contending. That's why they have, launched themselves into prime contention because of the tremendous job that Pat Riley has done. And then you have Alonzo Mourning having input as well. These are two guys who are winners. They know how to win. They know talent when they see it. So a lot of credit goes to that Miami Heat's front office. It's not a chaotic front office. Pat Riley has the final word. Pat Riley doesn't let people run all over him, tell him how to run his operation. He doesn't allow that. He makes the personnel decisions. He's the one that signs the checks. He's the one that says, hey, you know what? This is how it's going to go around here. And that's why the Miami Heat are in the position that they're in. And yes, Coach Dante built this team around Jimmy Butler really well. Yes, and we talk about it all the time. Jimmy Butler is not an easy player to get along with. A lot of people have had their run-ins with him. He has rubbed people the wrong way. But I think that's his competitive nature. I think that's his character. That's who he is. It's his demeanor. You know, um, you hear about his stubbornness. Uh, a lot of players can't play alongside him. They can't get along with him, it seems. But hey, it's working over in Miami. And then, yes, PJ Tucker with his toughness, his defensive tenacity. I think the Milwaukee Bucks really missed him. They really missed it. They really missed him. Um, he was a huge part of their title run a year ago. Um, because of what he can do defensively. He can contest shots. He can make it difficult for his opponent. He has that in your face in ability to make it happen. Just a great overall defender. Wonderful defender. And they play very well, very good defense. And Victor Oladipo has been playing some really good basketball too. Victor Oladipo is a fairy tale story, man. This is a guy who's come back from injuries. He's never gave up. He's inspirational. It's an inspirational story. It might be one of NBA's most beautiful stories this season. Believe it or not, and it's great to see him back and playing um at an elite level, um coming off the bench and contributing in ways we never really imagined. Um and yes, he has been playing some really, really good basketball. And then Tyler Hero. I mean, I talked about it before. Tyler Hero, Dante. Tyler Hero is a guy that you can put on a lousy team, a terrible team, one that's horrible, and you can insert him in the starting lineup. You can incorporate him in the starting lineup. I mean, that's how good he is. He has the potential to be a starter somewhere else in this league. You're bringing him off the bench, and he is clearly a six man. He's the true definition of a six man. He's ultimately, he has played phenomenal top level basketball when he comes off the bench. And I think that's been well documented. I think, you know, that continues to hold true as we, see what he's been able to do. He's capable of so much. He can knock down jump shots. He has a smooth shot. Um, you know, he has great on court awareness too. Just a great player. This Miami Heat team is built to win. Now, I don't find any glaring weaknesses. I really don't. I do find some weaknesses in the Celtics though. Um, you know, Being able to take care of the basketball, gotta be able to defend well. You can't let up on defense. You can't fall asleep. Got to play a full 48 minutes. Basketball is a game of runs and momentum, and you got to be able to stifle another team. Make it hard for them. Don't give up easy shots. And sometimes Boston, to me, they fall asleep. They fall asleep. You know, I don't find any witnesses on that team either. They just, I don't find. Oh, you meant weaknesses, huh? Yeah, they just have great shot makers, high defensive IQ. Yep, they do. And then Eric Spoelstra, man, he sets high standards for his players, and the bar is always high. And his players, man, they respond. They play well. They play really well together. This is a great team. This is a collective bunch. You know, and the Heat, like I said, they were able to outlast the Celtics on their home floor. You know, but Bam Adebayo did his version of Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy went down, he picked it up, played hard. You know, Al Horford, the rejuvenated Al Horford, he's having the postseason of his life. It's as if he stepped into a time machine and went back in time, back to the future. Out here doing his best impersonation of Michael J. Fox on a hoverboard. It's great. But this Heat team, they brought the energy early. They set the tone early. What I liked from them early was that they were able to attack the paint with dribble penetration. They were able to split defenders. But again, that falls in the lap of the Celtics too, not defending well. This is a playoff series. You got to play. You got to defend. You got to lock people down. I think that's something the Celtics need to do better. Al Horford scored 20 points with 14 rebounds. Smart poured in 16 points. And Tatum, he only had 10 points on 3 for 14 shooting. So it wasn't his best effort, really. Tatum's gonna have to be big too. We hear Tatum's name all the time, right? Everyone knows Jason Tatum, like he's the face of the Boston Celtics. But the more important player on the team, and this is what people need to realize, the more important player on the team is Marcus Smart. He controls that backcourt. He runs that offense. He makes things happen for that team. Yes, Jason Tatum is the more glamorous player, you know. He's the more talked about player. Everyone loves when he has his offensive explosions. You know, everyone in Boston goes crazy for that. They talk about it. They're up on their feet, going wild when he has a 40 plus point night, a 30 plus point night. But the guy who's behind it all is Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is huge for them. And yeah, coach. Yeah, they were ready to come out and play. They were ready to come out and play against the Boston Celtics. You know, and they know who they're playing against. Yes, it's the best well-rounded team in the NBA, arguably. But so are the Miami Heat. And they refuse to quit. They refuse to back down. I do like the resilience that I saw from the Celtics in the second half, but you got to come out early. You can't dig yourself in a hole like that. You know, they dug a hole too deep and then they had to try to climb out of the rabbit hole. And then by the time they try to, climb and stick their heads out, the Miami Heat said, no, 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 wait. Wait. We got to put our foot down and kick you back inside the hole. And they did just that. You know, and sometimes the Celtics, man, they take their foot off the gas pedal. Can't do that in the playoffs. Got to continue to play. Yes, he sets the tone. He's a leader. We all saw him win Defensive Player of the Year. You know, that was up for debate because a lot of people felt that Mikal Bridges should have won. But look who's still in the playoffs and look who's making things happen for his team. It's a very important piece. Miami Heat beat the Boston Celtics in game 3. I'm going to wrap this up now, people. You guys enjoy your Sunday. I want to thank Coach for stopping by. Thank you, Coach. Thanks for hanging with me this morning. Share this video if you can. Share this with the people out there. Thank you. I'm going to make a morning run real quick. I'll talk to you guys later today. We got another playoff game on the schedule today. We got the Western Conference Finals today. The Warriors versus the Dallas Mavericks. We'll see how that goes. Dallas is at home. Dallas plays well at home. Luka's going to do his thing. We all know what Luka is made of. We all know that he has risen to superstardom. So I'll probably talk about that sometimes later. But I'm stepping out now. Take care, guys. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Peace. Thanks, Coach. Talk to you soon, man.